there. And it was quite isolated from the main bungalow, so he could stay there undisturbed. I had got a big desk for him on hire whenever Baba came, so he would be working away late into the night. He was working on those ghazals, you know.
He was a night owl, wasn't he?
Yeah. He had this habit of muttering loudly in his sleep, you know. So he would start making speeches at night, you know, and people who didn't know would be surprised what's happening. And here he was fast asleep and talking loudly away. Peculiar habit he had.
Why was he staying away from Guru Prasad? Was there not room at Guru Prasad?
No, at that time it was too crowded, and he would like to work, you know. So Baba would,
Baba accommodated.
Yeah. So then when this room was available, then he began to stay there. And he was working on this ghazals, the new form of poetry that he started, the English ghazals. And then it was brought out in a book form called Let Us the People Sing.
In Dust I Sing.
In Dust I Sing, yeah. First it was Let Us the People I Sing was a different sort of songs, But In Dust I Sing was the ghazals. And he would read out to Baba all these ghazals when he would make them. Then each time Baba would say, "What's anything new you've done?" And then he would recount it before Baba. And Baba would hear it with great love and all that feeling. And sometimes have him repeat those ghazals. And then he would ask, "Do you know why I'm asking him to repeat this? Because I'm committing them to memory. This time, in this Advent, I've been quoting Hafiz time and again, and in my future Advent, I'm going to quote Francis. So I'm committing it to my memory."
So Francis's long quarrel with Hafiz satisfied.
But he took it with a pinch of salt, you know. But Baba was quite serious about it, when he was saying this.
Really?
Yeah.
So he wasn't just joking?
No. Well, if you take it as a joke, you can take anything what you would say as a joke. Because it would all be very, in the stride of things, he would just speak out things, you know. So, although it would be a joke, it would be quite serious also. And one ghazal I remember Baba liked very much was Because of Love. There's a ghazal in that.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that Baba liked very much. And every now and then Baba would say, "Come on, repeat that ghazal." So sometimes Francis would be in a very grumpy and grouchy mood, and he would have to say out this ghazal. So he was not in the mood to say it out, you know. And Baba would catch him in that mood. In his usual way, you know. And then like that, Baba would work him up to a frenzy many times, you know. So once he just exploded in front of Baba. Something happened and he just gave vent to his frustration and anger or whatever it was in a loud voice. And suddenly everybody was rather distressed at what was happening. And Baba seemed very unhappy. He looked very sadly at Francis and said, "Francis, I never expected this from you." And suddenly Francis realized that what had happened to him. And he came to his senses, as it were, and began to sob loudly, you know. Something must have happened inside him, you know. And Baba was working it out of him, out of his system. So, and Baba looked in with such a sad expression on his face that Francis just melted in front of him. Yeah, and he just wept his heart out in front of all of us. We started to cry. Yeah, it was a very poignant situation at that time. Baba would suddenly bring these things out, whilst we were joking and laughing, these situations would develop. Yeah, to completely twist. But then Baba called him and embraced him and all that. Then all the situation cleared again. Then again, everything was forgotten.
Baba seemed to be able to do it with these apparently hard-boiled characters.
Oh, yeah.
Like you had told the other day about with Baijul, that happened with Baijul, these people who seem like they tough,
nuts,
crusty characters.
Only Baba could pierce that shell, Nothing else could shake them. Not even an earthquake. These tough old rugged people. So, but Baba could slice through them like butter. Knife through butter. So these situations would suddenly develop and we could realize Baba was working some things inside him, Francis once happened to mention to me that I cannot bear this man's infinite patience, he said to me in one of his walks at Meherazad. This man just with his patience is grinding me to dust. I can't bear it any longer. Yeah. Baba patiently suffering and everything Baba would endure, the moods, the bickerings and everything that would go on here and in the outside world of Baba and other places. So he would be a witness to all this, and slowly that was hammering him, So once he mentioned this to me, and I was very impressed by the way he said that. His patience was grinding him, Baba's patience. So what infinite patience Baba was exhibiting.
You wouldn't usually think of patience as the thing that grinds you to dust. But I
just
suppose
imagine.
when you feel that,
whatever you do and Baba just taking it in can fluster anybody, So it was
I think Baba's having to bear this for my sake.
And of course it was his love that brought out all these feelings in anyone. So these little things would go on. And slowly there was another nice incident. The Pune Center had performed a drama at Guru Prasad. I'm not sure whether it was this year or subsequent years or before that, when the avatars of the age was depicted in a sort of a drama form. So all these 6 avatars were shown and what they propounded at the time. So it was acted out, and Baba's chair would be shifted and he would be with the spectators at this time. And then where Baba would sit would be the stage where the performance would be held in Guru Prasad. So the 7th avatar was Baba himself. So that was performed with Rustam Sorab as the actors. So Rustam as Eraj and Sorab as Baba, dressed up like Baba. And they suddenly walk in and Baba is seeing all this. And Baba was tickled pink with what they were performing, And he's reading out the board and giving all the, mimicking Baba very perfectly. And Baba was so happy and delighted. He was laughing inside of him and shaking. And then they said something about Baba's love being manifest or some such thing, and there was a big roar in the crowd, and Baba's jai was being shouted out, and everybody was enjoying it to the hilt. Baba enjoyed the scene very much. So Baba seeing himself being an actor. But they did a very nice acting at that time.
They're good actors.
Oh, yeah.
They're talented. They have a flair.
In their family, it's a trait, you know.
Yeah. It is.
So Baba's uncle also was maternal uncle was in the drama line. Yeah.
And didn't Baba actually work in that company?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Hmm.
After realization, mother was anxious that he should do something to earn his living.
Yeah.
So just to keep him occupied, Baba had entered that drama company, I think. So it ran in their family.
Yeah.
Mani is a good actor.
Yeah.
She would perform these dramas at short notice and entertain Baba like anything. Yeah. Very talented.
And Baba himself.
Oh.
Everyone says he's matchless.
That's true.
I mean, just the coming down to earth as a man.
Yeah.
Just starting right from there.
Acting as a man.
Right.
Not only acting, but totally becoming man for our sakes. So what else do you remember any other incidents written somewhere in Guru Prasad?
Yeah, it's kind of
so it was a very lively stay of Baba at Guru Prasad at that time.
Yeah.
And I think eventually, of course, that was also over, and the Guru Prasad stay came to an end, and then the usual farewell was there at Bun Garden, and we would be all called in the morning, and of course I had to be there at Guru Prasad to take charge when everybody left, and then the manager also was there, so I would go along, and after the farewell at the Bun Garden, then come back and then with the family help winding up things at Guru Prasad.
Was that the same manager who had glowered at you the first time you climbed?
No, he was there for a few years, and then he was not too good. He neglected his duties. So it came to the notice of the Maharani, and she got him transferred to some other place. And a nice person called Mohite, that man's name was Khanvilkar, the one who had glowered at me. But this new person, his name was Mohite, and he was a very good person, very dedicated. He was actually a relation of the Maharani of Shantadevi.
Would he stay there when Baba was there, overseeing the property?
Yeah. In one of those outhouses at the rear, he was given a place there.
So he had the good fortune of seeing Baba from time to time?
Oh yes, he would be there all the while. Yeah. But when Baba was in seclusion, not allowed. He would be there on the property, minding his own business, seeing to the cleanliness and all that. Yeah. And then there was an assistant under him named Ramarao, who was there right from the beginning till the end. And he was also quite dedicated. He would swab the place, clean the whole palace and all that. Even when Baba was there and during the off season also, these two people would look after the place.
You know, I've often had the impression, in the later 60s, I hear that Baba would spend time in his room, like he'd be hitting his...
Yeah, that was the last years.
But did he, during in the earlier part of the 60s, would he ever be in seclusion in his room doing this universal work?
No. Not that time. That that phase started in the last year at Guru Prasad. Otherwise, mostly the seclusion work would be done at Meherazad, and Pune would be a sort of place of recreation. So in fact, when in '63 he came, he was in seclusion at Meherazad. When he came there, he said all these programs and all was a sort of recreation for him, and that when he went back to Meherazad, he would have to start intense seclusion work again.
I see.
So therefore it was an open thing for Baba that year.
So for the Mandali, this must have been a tremendous
So
fun.
yeah.
Change of mood with Baba.
Well, fun and also work, because lots of people coming and going, and they had to, of course, do all the daily chores. So, but yeah, Baba's mood was good, and so that was good for them. So, and the usual playing of cards would be there, the game of Laris, and all. Sometimes there would be 20 or 30 people playing this game. Or they would be seated all around Baba in his chair at the head, and then this game would be played, and great deal of shouting and chaos and confusion. So, and Rustam Sorab were not allowed to play the game, but they had to assist in dealing out the cards and then playing for Baba and all that. So as being small people and children, they were not to play the game, but they could assist there. And Kumar would be there, so as usual he would not want to rub his nose when he lost the game. So these two were given the charge of forcing him to rub his nose. They used these two big solid boys forcing Kumar, and he would resist, purposely to add drama to the scene, and everybody enjoying. The losers enjoying to rub their noses in front of Baba. Baba said these are the real winners because they get the opportunity to rub their noses before him. And the winners, of course, happy to have won the game. So this would be always there, this game of cards. So yes, I think we have fairly covered Baba's stay there at Guru Prasad, and for that year, and then Baba bid farewell to the Pune lovers, and then that I think that were So on the last day, Baba had called, I think, the Bhajan Mandali. I'm not sure whether it was this year or the following, but I think it was this year. And Baba then asked Madhusudan to sing some ghazals and bhajans, and he was singing away, and there was so much love that Baba was giving out at that last occasion that we were all almost led to tears in front of Baba. And Madhusudan was also singing his heart away. There was a sort of farewell song in that program, and that was making it still more difficult for people to hold back the tears. And Baba seemed to have opened a little bit of his heart's window, and everybody was flooded with his love. So when after he left, then people were felt very sad, never before like that. So one of the Pune people, he met me later, And he said that after returning on that day, I went home and I cried like a child. I never wept like this before. I don't know what happened to me. Baba suddenly seemed to have flooded my heart with so much love. And I just wept, and my family couldn't understand what was wrong with me. Yeah. So it was something that Baba did that time. Yeah. And his name was Bhausar, the one who was in the railways and helped a lot to accommodate Baba people and for the railway travel arrangements. He was working in the railways. He was a guard on the railways. So he could arrange for tickets and all that from the inside. So it was a great help for Baba people and worked untiringly and ceaselessly. Great lover of Baba. He's still around.
Really?
Yeah.
Must be an old man by
Yeah.
now.
But he's around. Despite several ailments, he's quite a hefty, tall person. So that was the end of Guru Prasad's stay, and then Baba returned to Mehrazad.
June 30th, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. So I just remembered a couple of points that we missed in that stay of Guru Prasad. And that was Baba taking walks in different gardens. So
there's a film, Walking with the Master or something like that.
Yeah. So as a sort of exercise for Baba, we would take him out to these different parks in the city. So we have this garden called Peshwa Park, where there was this elephant, and you see Baba feeding the elephant with some bread and all that. And then there was this Empress Garden, which was behind the race course, and it's a beautiful garden there with ancient trees, big tall margosa trees and other beautiful varieties. It was a sort of botanical garden in the old days, and now it's in a bad shape, but at that time it was very well preserved and very secluded also. Baba would like to go and have walks there. There was a big pond where these lotus flowers would be grown, and tall bamboos. So very beautiful place here. And then of course Ganeshan gardens were there.
Wasn't that where Dadi had been?
Where Dadi used to work. So the gardens were still there, and even if Dadi was not there, we could go there and Baba would like walk there. It led to the river behind the gardens, and it was extremely secluded. And another favorite place for Baba's walks was a sort of a private road, although it was not private, but it was maintained by the Turf Club. So it was just adjoining the turf, the racetracks, from the turf house, the club house, to the entrance to the race course, sort of a back road, which was quite secluded. So early morning Baba would go there and have a couple of rounds. Very quiet place. It's still there. So now these walks would be there.
Would you get called on these occasions?
Yeah, there's a film in which I'm in one of the walks, in the rare appearance that I would make.
One of your rare film appearances until these.
So I would keep away from the camera. Hardly find me in any of the pictures. Here I was caught. So
we've trapped him.
I think it was the Empress Gardens where I'm walking with Baba. And another occasion was a very unique thing. The secretary of the Cricket Association in Pune heard of Baba's interest in cricket. So he came one day and said, Baba, there's going to be a prize distribution of cricketers. So we would like you to give out the prizes. So Baba looked askance and then he said, all right. He was in the mood at that time. So he agreed to give out the prizes. So one afternoon it was all decorated and all the shields and cups and everything was placed near Baba's sofa there, and then the cricketers were called in. And of course there was a big crowd of Baba lovers and all. So in the midst of that, this program was held of Baba giving out prizes.
Right in the middle of an afternoon's darshan, this was there.
So the names of the cricketers would be called out, he would come and then receive the cup from Baba. The cup would be handed to Baba and Baba would give the prize out. Then Baba gave a good message also that he always liked the game of cricket, that he still liked it although he was not able to play it any longer. And then he expected the cricketers to play in the right spirit of the game, to entertain the crowds and play enterprising cricket. Some such thing, or some message. So that was what other things that happened that year. And that reminds me of a time when there was to be a selection of the players to go to England to play cricket there. So there was a pre-selection match, and the secretary invited Baba to observe the match. And we had gone to this place called Nehru Stadium. And
in Pune?
In Pune, yeah. So it's near Satara Road, this Nehru Stadium. So he gave us a place which was on top of the players' pavilion. It was a room on the first floor, and then it opened out onto the roof of the pavilion down below. And the players' room was adjacent, and this room was given to Baba, and we had gone there to watch this match. So Baba watched the match for quite a long time. It was a nice match, and Baba liked seeing cricket match being played. So then at the time there was a tea time, so the players trooped in, so Baba had the door locked up, and he asked us all to sit inside and be very quiet, not to make the noise. And here the players were having tea and joking amongst themselves and having some fun, little realizing that Baba was hearing all that in the adjacent room.
So Baba wanted to sort of overhear it, or wanted to he just didn't want them to know he was there.
Yeah.
I see.
And that was fun. So that was the end of the stadium. And then after that, after the selection was done, then the players were brought over to Guru Prasad and presented to Baba. So the whole team which was to go to England came for Baba's blessings. They all had Baba's darshan. And that was the time when first Polly Umbriga, whose wife was here yesterday, Dinu Umbriga. So Polly and Umbriga and Nari contracted. So they were introduced to Baba at Guru Prasad. And since then they have been Baba lovers. They got hooked on to him. Nice players in that time. Polly Umbriga was really good in all departments of the game. He literally shouldered India's side on his shoulders.
Oh, so he was on the national team. He was actually that good.
He was the captain of
the captain of the national team.
Indian team at one time. And then he had some differences with the cricketing body, and so he resigned from captaincy. And Nari contractor was given captaincy. So he played under him, although he was senior, but advised him what to do and all. Very, very clever player. In all departments of the game. Whereas Nari contractor was only good as a batsman, as a striker of the ball. Very stylish.
So Baba was quite an appreciator of the game.
Oh yeah. He liked seeing cricket. Even if we passed by and some boys would be playing, he would stop the car and just watch them play. He liked seeing cricket being played. And when we played at Satara, he was very active, in that cricket game that I described to you.
Right.
He was the wicket keeper. Very swiftly he would take the ball, receive the ball and try to stump us. You don't know the terms of the game, and he had the piles trouble and all that. But still he played the game actively and scored a lot of runs. So much so that he brought the scores even.
A dead tie, right?
Dead tie. Otherwise we would have defeated the other team hollow. Baba single-handedly brought it to level. Very good. Couldn't get him out. He was hammering away the ball. Nice fun watching him play,
Yeah.
And wanting us to take full interest while playing.
Baba seems to have been like a man in the sense that, here he seems to have had a favorite game, cricket. That seems to have been the game that he really liked more than, for sports, real sports games. And then there were card games, he had Larisk seems to have been so he had these partialities like that.
Cricket was his first favorite, no question about it. Even before the accident, he came all the way to Pune as an excuse to watch the cricket game. And then there was that interference, the Baba lover came and he lost the mood. He went back. And then the accident occurred.
Right.
So the cricket game was the excuse. Came all the way from Pune to watch the game.
Or from Satara, right?
Satara. From Satara
to Pune. And the return was the accident. Actually cricket was all involved in that accident in different ways, wasn't it?
And yes, that's right, because we had played the game where the accident
was. Very place.
You remind me of that. So cricket was very much in the scheme of things.
Well, this is good news, Meherwan, because when people get injured at volleyball, we can cite the Avatar precedent.
No, not in the game. But of course, after playing that game, everybody had sore muscles and they couldn't squat the next day. There were groans and squeaks. After that match we played with Baba. Quite a few hours he made us play. All right, so I think we have to wind up.
Call it a day.
Babaji is getting impatient.
Okay, Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai.
Jai Baba. Avatar Meher Baba ki Jai. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. This is 14th November, 1994. Picking up again in the year 1963 in the course of Meherwan Jessawala's chronicles of the Divine Beloved Avatar Meher Baba as he experienced and remembered him in this Advent. So last time we've been talking about Baba's visits in time in Group-Asad in 1963, and you mentioned that there are other things from that period that you were recollecting.
Yeah, I think last time I touched upon Pauli and Nari coming to Baba, and ever since then they have been Baba lovers and very attracted to Baba since that time. They were the two people from the team that came to see Baba who just held on to Baba. and are still Baba lovers. So I remember there was a subsequent tour of the West Indies just after seeing Baba and Polly Umbriger leading the team in the UK and being very successful there. Then there was some disagreement between him and the cricket controlling board of the country, and Paulie was a bit outspoken about his views, which didn't coincide with the controlling body, and so to avoid further conflict, he just stepped down from his captaincy. So Nari Contractor had gained sufficient experience by then, and the board thought fit to appoint him as the captain. And Paulie said that his services were still available, but that he would not captain the side anymore. So he was prepared to play under Nari Contractor, although he was much junior to him. Yeah. And in fact, Nari had established himself by then as one of the world's finest opening batsmen, a very stylish left-hand batsman. We had these left-handers and right-handers in cricket also. So left-handers were few and far between. Whenever a left-hander was discovered, it would be a great asset to the team, because when they batted, it was a great nuisance for the fielding side, because each time they would cross over for a run, field rearrangement had to be done by the fielding captain. So it disturbed them, it caused problems to them.
Because it typically hit to the other side of the field.
Yeah, the whole field arrangement would have to be reversed for a left-handed batsman. The offside field changes for the left-handed batsman, and there are specialized fielders sometimes. So it's a problem. There are certain field placements around the batsman, so those have to be changed. And so it's an asset to the batting side and a problem for the fielding side.
I see. The same is true in baseball.
Is that so? So in any case, Nari was appointed captain, and then they again visited Baba. And this time there was going to be a tour of the West Indies. And the West Indies are known for their very lively cricket. They have pitches also which are very lively. Lively in the sense that it helps pace bowlers. Pace means fast attack, In cricket we have two types of bowling. The pace attack, which just depends on sheer speed of delivery of the ball and swing in the air. Whereas in slow bowling, it's more about the spin and the flight of the ball, which could deceive the batsman. And depending upon the pitch, it favors these two different types of bowling. So in the West Indies, they have these very lively sporting pitches, which are great help for fast bowlers. Unlike in India, where we have very slow pitches and very smooth and well rolled, so they are sort of suitable for the batting side, and a bane for fast bowlers. So that is why India has failed to produce real world-class fast bowlers for a long time. Only now they are coming up, very recently. So in those days, India mainly relied upon its spin attack. In any case, so Nari and Paulie were there with Baba. I think the rest of the team also had come or what, I'm not so sure. And then it seems Nari had some sort of a premonition that something would be wrong or somewhere. So he just told Baba, Baba, let your nazar be on me and my side. So Baba says, have no worry, my nazar is on you. And it proved to be so. Because when they went there, it was a disastrous tour from the Indian point of view, because Indian team had never faced something so hostile an environment. You see, they had these huge strapping bowlers who could send down the ball at almost 100 miles per hour at a terrific pace, and so they were just routed. But even that, they were able to make some sort of resist. They could put up some resistance. But amongst them was a bowler who was not a bowler but a thrower of the ball. That is illegal in cricket. It's not allowed.
Throwing means overhand?
No, it's bending the arm from the elbow. If you are caught doing that, you see, when it has to be bowled, the arm has to be straight. When the ball leaves the hand of the bowler. But if you are throwing, then it's bent and then thrown with a jerk, which adds tremendously to the speed and kick of the ball, and it could injure you very badly. So some bowlers would have that slight throwing action which only a skilled umpire could detect. So many times Paulie would come up to Nari Umrigar and tell him to complain to the umpire that the ball is being thrown at him. But Nari somehow said, let it be. And in those times, those were the times when the batsmen were not protected with helmets, as you see nowadays. They played without helmets, and which has now become a standard practice because of lots of injuries to the head and brain. So they had this fast bowler who was a chucker, as they call it in cricket parlance. His name was Griffith, and he was a chucker, and he was a strapping big fellow, giant of a fellow, and he was throwing the ball all the while, and the umpires were just ignoring. Unless you appeal to them, they wouldn't raise objections. So in any case, one delivery just reared up, and although Nadi contractor tried to avoid it, but he couldn't, and he came straight into the path of the ball, and it landed right above his ear. It came crashing onto his skull, and he fell on the ground and just fainted. And they had to carry him off the field. And later the doctors diagnosed that he had a fracture of the skull and some concussion had occurred, and a blood clot had formed. So Paulie Umrigar was all the while by his side, so also the manager of the team. But those people there were not caring for them properly. He was just left there, and there was no good hospital at that place. So then Paulie and the other manager of the team somehow contrived to get him to a big city nearby in the West Indies, perhaps Barbados or something. And there he was taken to a big hospital, and the doctor said that it is a miracle that he's still alive. You've come very late, but still you're in the nick of time. So it seems Baba's nazar was on Nari, and it was a very difficult operation, but the real miraculous thing was that he came out through the entire surgery back to absolute normal, without any disability whatsoever. But the only thing is that a part of his skull had to be removed and a metal plate had to be put in place to protect the uncovered brain. So you could imagine the seriousness of the injury. Yeah. But he survived, and then later on he was back into cricket. But he started to play again, but he lost his original confidence. And thereafter it was a steady decline, and eventually he had to give up. Yeah, because as time went on, the game became more and more technical and more scientific, and so he couldn't last out after that. And so also it was time for Polly to get out. Yes, so that was Polly and Nari. Polly also had a problem. His son had a defect in his heart from very young age. And Polly in fact mentioned it to Baba, because the little boy would want to play, and ever slight exertion and he would become all breathless and turn very blue and all that. So eventually it was diagnosed to be a hole in the heart, and there was no surgery in India at that time for that procedure to correct that. So he had to be taken to the United Kingdom for surgery, and then again Polly had brought him to Baba when Baba was in Guru Prasad in one of those years. And Baba said he would be absolutely all right, his nazar would be on him. And the boy had a very successful operation, and then he grew up to be a fine young man, and later he migrated to Australia, and I think he settled down there. Yeah. He also tried to be a good cricketer in the shoes of his father, but I don't know how. He wasn't very much successful, I think. And he had some other career to follow.
So these, the Paul Amrigar and Nari were famous sportsmen and known all over India at that time.
Yeah, he was the national captain, both of them. Yeah.
In the favorite sport of India.
Nari was a specialized opening batsman, whereas Polly Umrigar was an all-rounder. He was a very good batsman, an extremely capable fielder, and a very good bowler. So when he went to the West Indies, there was a talk of removing Polly Umrigar, that he's too old a horse now. That was the term they used, the old horse.
Right.
But somehow the others prevailed upon them to retain him in the team. And he was the one who topped both the bowling and batting averages.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He captured the maximum number of the opponent's wickets and made the maximum number of runs. So he was the sort of sheet anchor of the team. Yeah, which would otherwise have been totally wiped off. So he was a very, very good player. And he's still in cricket now. He's, I think, in the governing body of the cricket board or something. Yeah. So he's
Does he still come here
quite
from time to time?
Yeah, he did. His wife came about 2 weeks back. Dinu Umrigar.
Dun Umrigar.
No, that's
different.
Yeah. Dinu Umrigar. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. So I think about 2 weeks back she was here.
Well, it's interesting. That particular time was in the United States, the very period that professional athletics really took off. Right around that time, for better and for worse. With all the specialization and commercialization and. But from right around then.
I see. Yeah. Well, here also same thing happened. In that until that time, the sportsmen here were very not in good financial circumstances.
Yeah.
So they had to fend for themselves. Their daily allowances would be so meager that they would have to spend from their own pockets.
Yeah.
Whereas today, if they wear a particular shirt with a logo, they are paid thousands of rupees just to advertise a particular product. So it's come in a big way in India also. But in those times, it was quite different. In fact, his wife Dinu Umrigar was telling me all about this when she met me, 2 or 3 weeks back. That those were the times when it was real sportsmanship, and people played for the love of the game. But now it's just love of money, and how they have become so greedy. Even these players, she was complaining that somebody invited them for lunch at a place, and they demanded a fabulous sum just to come and have lunch at their residence. So see the wheel turning right round,
Really. Back when they were paid not nearly so much, they also gave much better sportsmanship to the fans.
That's right.
Now for getting more money, they give less of that.
That's right. It's all concentrated on how much to earn, how to earn, and how to retain their places, yes. So the sport is getting killed everywhere. Well, it's all one of Baba's ways of bringing to a head every department of life.
Well, we had covered in an earlier tape how you're responsible for that, in fact, because of the game in 1956 in Sitara where you shouted and complained.
That was in 1954. The 56 was the accident which occurred at that site.
Oh, I see. The game's in 54.
The game was in 54.
All right.
I was the little rebel there. Complaining against the umpire. And nowadays you see people grimacing at the umpire, heckling him if he gives any verdict.
In soccer games,
sometimes they kill him. I'm sure it was all my fault to have initiated this sort of attitude in the game. Although inadvertently. Any case, so that was the time when this happened. Then, what other thing I missed in that year? I don't recollect whether I ever touched upon Gadekar. Previously I had touched upon Gadekar as to how he was instrumental in securing Guru Prasad.
Right.
You must have heard my story in the hall the other day.
Right.
So.
And you had mentioned that on the previous tape, Gadekar's role.
So I forgot to mention that in 1957, Gadekar was in a very bad state of health, and Baba was passing through Pune, and Gadekar was in his final days, as it were, because he was suffering from this Hodgkin's disease, which is a sort of cancerous growth of the glands, and he had a big swelling under his neck, on his neck, and that had swelled up to such a great extent that he was in a really bad shape. And when I went to see him in his last days, he was in a very pathetic condition, and he just entreated me to take him to Bindra house and keep him there. I want to be near you people. He wouldn't like to be even with his family, realizing that these were his last days. So he wanted to be more with my mother, whom he loved very much, because she would tell him Baba's stories and be very loving to him, and so he would very often pay visits to Bindra house, and he felt very much at home there. So he'd was requesting me to take him there, and I said, Gadekar, that wouldn't look nice. What would your wife and children think if I do that? Just be here, take Baba's name. Yes, I'm doing that. And he was constantly remembering Baba. So much so that Baba from Meherazad was passing through Pune on his way to Bombay. In early March, I think, that year. So on the way, he stopped for lunch. I think at Bindra's or something. And he said, I must go and see Gadekar. So Baba took Eraj and one or two other Mandli and went to his place and met him. And Gadekar, it seems from what we gathered later, reports that he was so happy to see Baba at that time. Yes, and Baba embraced him and said, now stop worrying about anything. Everything will be all right. Just think of me and all that. And it seems after Baba met him, all his pain also disappeared. And the last few days that he survived were in relatively much less pain. He was very happy and he passed away peacefully, just a few days, while Baba was still in Bombay. But I remember before Gadekar passed away, there was a meeting held in Meherabad, and there few of us were there, and Baba gave a sort of choice to Gadekar that if he wanted, he could come and stay at Meherazad. But then Baba was in strict seclusion at that time. This was, I think, in 56. Sometime in October 56 or something. Yeah, it was after the accident. So Baba's work was going on in full swing, in seclusion, despite his ill health and all. So he told Gadekar, you can come and stay for a month here, but my conditions are very strict. You should not cause any disturbance to me. The slightest this thing and I'll send you back. And Baba was so stern and severe in that meeting that poor Gadekar was trembling. And then we were all sent back, and Gadekar also was sent, and so he was to report back to Baba whether he would come and stay or not. He had to make the decision. Everything would depend on him only. And once he decided, then he couldn't leave this place till the end of the stay, whatever it was, because Baba had prohibited anybody from coming in or going out. So he came to Bindra's and started telling my mother, that's how he would I'm so scared, I don't know what to do. This is my dilemma, whether I'll be able to please Baba there and what will happen. I so much love to stay near him. So my mother tells him, Gadekar, why do you worry? Just take Baba's name and write yes. He'll look after you. Don't worry. And he just brightened up when she said that. Is that so? But I really felt very scared when Baba said all that. So Mama said, this is the way Baba always does it. And he is the one who will look after you. You don't worry. You just depend upon him. He just jumped with joy, with such consoling words. I'm going to write right now to Baba right here that I'm coming. And then he went there and he really had a very happy stay here. So that was just a few months before he died. So Baba was giving him a chance to be near him. And later Baba would mention very humorously how innocent Gadekar was. For everything he wouldn't know what to do. So he would ask the Mandli, should I go and have a bath? Or should I just do like this? Or for every little thing he would go and ask people around here. And it would be a sort of a little nuisance around, And that amused Baba. and he would tell us of his little things, yeah. So I remembered all that about Gadekar.
I know Erich, when speaking of Gadekar has said what a wonderful, humble, simple man he was.
Yeah.
Just a gem.
Unparalleled person in his way. Each one had really superb characteristics. Although there were failings, with each one, but they had certain beautiful characteristics. Yeah. Each of Baba's Mandli was like that. And when he died, Baba had sent a telegram that Bhakt Shiromani Gadekar has come to me. Now Bhakt Shiromani means the crown jewel among the bhakts, the lovers, the crown jewel. Yeah.
What is that phrase again?
Bhakt Shiromani.
Bhakt Shiromani.
Shir means head.
Yeah.
Mani means jewel. So the crown, the jewel which is on